Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Dre B. Rambo Show. I am your host, Dre B. Rambo. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. It's about a little after 5 in the morning, 5:03 to be exact. And we are on our way. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. We are on the brink of cracking double-digit subscribers, guys. We're almost there. Nope. We are almost double-digit subscribers. Right now, we are at a total of 9. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got 9 subscribers. All right, guys. So we're going to get right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about marriage and working out your salvation. So if you guys didn't know it, the devil hates marriage. Why? Because God is for marriage. And obviously anything that God is for, the devil is against. And the reason why I bring this up is because, marriage is something that, and trying to keep a marriage together is something that people deal with every day, especially if you're married, right? And we have these pseudo marriages that I would call pseudo marriages. Basically, people cohabitate together. They're in relationships and they're like marriages, but they're not. But people still, it's still transferable. I mean, let's get real. Not everybody gets married and lives in a covenant with God. Many people will, live together as boyfriend, girlfriend, and I'm not saying that's okay. What I'm saying is that we've all done it. I've done it. Me and my wife did it when we first met. We shacked up right away. I mean, my wife proposed to me like in the first month and moved me in with her probably the week after that. And I mean, can you blame her? I mean, let's get real. So anyway, the devil hates marriage. And my wife sent me something silly yesterday. And I say silly, but what I really want to say is effing dumb. But I can't say that on the air. Sorry, Jesus. But she sent me something that said, and it wasn't dumb. I mean, it's like only telling half the story. And what it said was, it was like a meme shot that said, it shows a guy in a church pew standing up, leaning over, like he's defeated. And the caption said, the devil attacks men because he's the leader of the house. And if he can get to the man, he can destroy the family. And it's a half truth, in my opinion, because it is true that the devil wants to attack husbands. Because if he can attack husbands and pull them, if he can get a man to, in other words, to abandon his family, then he can destroy that marriage and leave that wife and children without a husband. But what the caption didn't say is that the devil uses the wife as his weapon of choice. He attacks husband, through the wife. It reminded me of the Adam and Eve story where the serpent goes to Eve and persuades her. Did God really say you couldn't eat from that fruit? Did he really say that you were going to die if you ate the fruit? I'm paraphrasing, of course. I'm not going to pull out my Bible and start reading it directly from there. But that's basically what he tells her. Because he doesn't go straight to Adam. He knows, if I'm going to get to Adam, I got to go through Eve. And so the devil loves to attack marriage through the wife. He'll put little thoughts into her head or whatever, however he does it. He's a cunning being. And this happens every day. It manifests itself every single day through our everyday encounters with our spouse, with our wives. For example, like my wife loves to tell me on a regular basis where I fall short as a man or as a husband. You know, uh, you know, uh, I could literally have just fixed a brick. Like I remember one time I fixed the porch. When I first met her, she had a broken porch. The bricks were all laid out. The mortar was broken, and it was just like about 5 or 6 bricks that were just thrown to the side. Her kids would walk over them, and it was just dangerous, and it just looked horrible. And I took it upon myself to go buy some mortar and realign the bricks and put it back together. Right? It was me showing, hey, I'm a man. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna make things better. You know, Big Daddy's got you. Uh, but it didn't. But the funny thing is that those things are quickly forgotten in a marriage or in any kind of relationship. They're quickly forgotten, and the next day, I remember I was being criticized because I wasn't helping enough around the house or something like that. And what the devil does is he knows that the wives, the best way to get to the husband and to crack him is by having the wife show the husband, make the husband feel like he's not appreciated, like he's not loved, the withholding of intimate relations, the nagging, the crying, the disrespect, especially the disrespect. And he knows that he can get a man to start thinking in his mind, you know what? Why the heck am I doing this? Why am I going to work grind every day? Or why am I outside working in the yard? Or why am I helping out with the clothes? Or why am I helping out with her kids? If I'm just going to be treated like crap, right? Or if I'm just going to be disrespected on a regular basis. And, some marriages are blended families like mine. Mine's a blended family. And I tell you what, the devil, he's literally like, oh, blended families? Oh, piece of cake. I could break that up, no problem. Year or two, that marriage is mine. I'm breaking that thing apart. And I'll tell you what, for the most part, he's right that he can break up marriages very easily, unless they're founded, unless the marriage, the husband and the wife take that covenant that they made with each other and with God. If they see it that way, my wife and I have been able to last as long as we have. It's not because we just madly in love, and we are, but it's not really because we're madly in love and all this and all that. It's not. It's because we both are working out our salvation with fear and trembling. Like it says in Philippians 2, verse 12, work out your salvation in fear and trembling. We know, first of all, we believe in God. And we take his word seriously. We're in prayer. On a regular basis, daily basis. We're in the word of God on a daily basis. And it's our fear and trembling. It's the fear that we have for God that keeps us in our marriage. Because we both understand that the world is attacking marriage. Our marriage is under attack by the world every single day. Does that mean we're always loving towards each other? No. For the most part, we can't stand each other most days, And do we have good days? Yeah, of course. We have great days. But we also have many days where they're just, it's like, man, I'm pulling my hair out. And I just want to kick this marriage down the road and be like, I'm going on, I'm doing something else. But we both understand that the grass isn't greener somewhere else. We both understand that we are actually under attack. So when we're angry with each other, or we feel like, you know what, man, screw that guy, or you know what, screw that woman, and I, for me personally, and I would have to assume her the same. She could probably tell you about that. But I'm always reminded how my obedience, my loyalty is to God. God first. Before my marriage, before my kids, before anything else, my loyalty and my obedience is to the Almighty Father. Because He is the one that I fear. I don't mean like I just fear like He's going to throw me into a fiery pit and burn me up, although He is the one who can do that. But I fear letting Him down. I mean, He's my creator. He created me to serve Him. He created me for His enjoyment. And if I'm literally, if a man just walks away from his marriage, which I've come close many times, let me tell you, and my wife can attest to this, I've come very close. The devil cracks down on me hard on a regular daily basis. You know, if you walk out on your marriage, you're abandoning your covenant with God. God hates divorce. Jesus clearly made that clear. In the book of Matthew, talks clearly. I believe it's chapter 19 if you want to go read it. God hates divorce. And you might think God hates divorce. Does God hate anything? Yeah, God hates a lot of things. You read this book right here? God hates a lot of stuff. And one thing that He really hates is divorce. So what is someone to do when you're in a marriage where you feel like you're both not, or at least you personally feel like you're just not getting your end of the bargain? You know, like the marriage is just tearing you down. I mean, I've had days where I'm literally like at work or I'll be somewhere else and I'm just like, man, F that witch. Like, I'm out of here. Like, I can't deal with this anymore. The disrespect or I'm just not getting anything out of this marriage. Like, why am I doing all of this? And I get no appreciation. And one of the things that I would say for me has been, not first of all, my obedience to God, but two, turn that mirror or that thing you're reflecting at your spouse and turn it right back on yourself. Because, you know, everything that you're feeling most of the times, it's a lie. It's the devil in your ear telling you that your partner's no good. You know what? Your partner's probably cheating on you right now while you're at work. She's probably doing this or that. Or, you know, the devil is always there. He knows exactly what it takes to get you to start doubting your marriage, to want to abandon your marriage, and he knows you're hanging on by a thread. I mean, me and my wife, man, we're literally hanging on by threads, but we've been hanging on by a thread for 2 years, you know, and we've made it this far. And there's been so much blessing from it. I could have left my wife for the same reasons I want to leave her today. I could have left her for those same reasons 2 years ago. And it's hard through all of that to see the blessings. Like in those 2 years, oh man, there's been some miserable times, you know. And I know everybody probably thinks, oh, my marriage is perfect, but it ain't. Let me tell you, it's not perfect. But let me tell you something. In those 2 years that I would just call misery, just for the sake of argument here, is that so much growth in my own personal life, my life, me personally. I've had so much growth from this 2 years of marriage. Well, we've only been married, we haven't even been married 2 years, but we started dating a little over 2 years ago. But in those 2 whatever years I've been dating her, and then married, of course, got married in November 22. In that time, there's so much personal growth, especially after we got married. Just so much personal growth. Sticking it out. And for her too. And the problems never go away because the devil knows exactly how to get to you. He tries to convince me all the time. Man, come on, man. We can go back to your mama's house. At your mama's house, rent's free, baby. We don't have to pay a dime, big boy. all that money that you give up every week to your wife, every paycheck that you be handing over, you could be depositing that into your own bank account. You can have that all for yourself, man. We can go on vacations, man. We can go on a cruise, and we could have margaritas. We can do whatever, and senoritas. We could do whatever we want. Margaritas and senoritas. Let's do it, Andres. Come on, let's go, big dog. Come on, Dre. Let's be all we can be. Let's go. Oh, you don't like that? Oh, let's go to Camino del Santiago and go on a hike. He knows all the things that I want. He knows all my innermost desires. He knows that I would love to go travel the world. He knows. He'll even tell me things like, why are you wasting all your money on someone else's kids? Because, I'm in a blended family. I got 2 stepsons, and they have a dad, and he'll be like, why don't we just forget those 2 kids? Your wife puts them first, and, she only cares about them. Anytime they're around, it's just all about them. And she abandons you. She neglects you. Like, why are you doing this? We can put all our time, money, and effort into our own kids. We can give it all to them. Like, he knows exactly what to say to me to get me on the border of just like, yeah, screw this, man. Why am I doing this? Especially when my wife is like yelling at me or disrespecting me or nagging me, or telling me how I fall short as a man and how I'm the worst guy ever, or all this stuff. The devil knows exactly what to say because he's been doing it a long time. He has been for millennia going around breaking up marriages and breaking up. See, the devil knows marriage is important to God. The Bible, this whole thing is practically about marriage. The Bible. Most people, it's about Jesus. The Bible is about Jesus. But a big majority of this thing is about marriage. In the very beginning, God created man. And he created man in his image. And he created them both male and female. He made us to be in a marriage covenant with each other. And we live in a world where it's like, oh, you don't want to be married anymore? Let's just divide everything. Marriage is basic. When you divorce someone, it's just basic, because this is the area of law that I work in, is basically just dividing up assets. In California, there's no, oh, why are you guys getting divorced? Where's the breakdown of the marriage? No, all you have to do is just check a little box that says irreconcilable differences. We're getting divorced because we have our differences and they're irreconcilable. There is no way we can work this out. Well, let me tell you guys, God only gives us 3 ways. He gives us 3 ways that he will accept a divorce. He don't like divorce. Let's get that straight. He does not like divorce. And he only gives us 3 ways that he will allow for divorce. First way is adultery. You cheat on your wife, or you women out there who are just as bad, if you cheat on your husband can walk away from the marriage. Clean. God will not hold it against you. Right? You're good. Second way is your spouse dies. Your spouse dies on you, you can marry another. Third way is they're unbelievers. And my wife has tried to use this before. And I'm going to tell you what I think it means. As an unbeliever, you're not supposed to be unevenly yoked, right? But it doesn't mean because your husband's being a jerk or because he's smoking or drinking that you get to leave your husband because he is sick, right? That's not what it means. If your husband is a drunk, I know a lot of women. Like I said, I work in this area of the law. most women will justify them leaving their husbands because they're drunks. That ain't justifiable. What it means is, in my opinion, this is my opinion. What it means that when your husband or spouse, when your husband or wife is a non-believer, it's because they left you. They're an unbeliever because they walked away from the faith. If they're walking away from you, they're walking away from the faith. Does it mean that they're condemned or anything like that? I don't think so. I think they could still find salvation. You know, if they walk away from their marriage, they'll find their way back. They can find their way back to God if God so wills it. God can save anybody he wants. Let's make that clear. God can show mercy for anybody he wants to, even for the worst of the worst, people who are the worst. Even for a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, let's just keep it real. God could even find mercy for someone like that. I don't know if he will, but God can save whoever he wants. I wasn't in that jail cell when he was getting murdered, but if he cried out to God and and God decided to show mercy on him, I'm sure God can do that. But when it comes to divorce and grounds for divorce in the biblical sense, it's if you're abandoned, you're good. If your husband leaves you, you're fine. If your wife leaves you, you're fine. If she cheats on you, you're good. If she dies on you, you're good. If he dies on you, you get it? You get what I'm saying? Outside of that, there is no justification for divorcing your spouse. And I know that. And that's why in the hardest times that me and my wife go through, and believe me, guys, we go through some hard times. Like any marriage, it's difficult. Marriage is the hardest thing that you could ever do. People think, marriage is great. No, marriage is not great. Let me tell you, marriage is hard. It is a hard thing, but the rewards are tremendous. The rewards, if you're paying attention, are without a doubt second to none. You know, I've had so much growth in my marriage through all the heartache and pain that I've been through in this marriage. There are moments in my life where I'm just like, man, look at everything I've been able to accomplish as a human being through my marriage. For example, I probably wouldn't even be, or I had this thing, you know, I had this podcast. I bought this during the pandemic. I just never used it. You know, I probably wouldn't even have had Sobered Up if it wasn't for, maybe I would have, maybe I would. I mean, I did sober up once, you know, before I bought this. But, or maybe I wouldn't have been brought to Jesus, or maybe I would have. I don't know. All I know is that in my marriage and by sticking it out and by doing what is right, God has bestowed blessings on me that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss. You know, there's so much good that can come out of a marriage. And there's a lot of bad. I mean, let's just keep it real. You know what I mean? Like marriage is not necessarily for everybody. It takes a strong human being to want to do it. You know, actually to want to stick it out and make it work. It takes strength. You know, a lot of people don't get married because, you know, they're worried about losing their assets, or they're worried about losing this. They're worried about the wife taking half the stuff. Yeah, that's always a real thing. You know, and I recently started working in something called palimony law, and this is an area of the law where it's mainly women who will go after your assets after a breakup because they'll say you made a promise to them to take care of them. Like if you're a guy and you make good money and you're, you know, paying for a nice lifestyle for your girlfriend and she's just a girlfriend, you better watch out. Because if, you know, you've been living together, you've been hanging out, living together for a while and all that kind of stuff, cohabitating and making promises to take care of her, even if you didn't really do that, she's going to say you did that. And she's going to take half your stuff. And you can be like, but we're not even married. This is what a lot of men don't understand. It don't matter if you're married or not. Palimony law is a real thing in California, and Although there is no common law marriage, they can come after your stuff. So be careful with that. But point is, back to my point, is that marriage is the hardest thing, is one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Like being in a marriage. Like imagine my scenario here, right? I'm married to a girl. She's got 2 kids. And they have a baby daddy. There's a baby daddy, obviously, in this particular situation. And I got 2 kids, and they love their dad, and rightfully so. When I'm not saying they shouldn't love their dad, of course they should. He's a good dad, and I'm the guy in the way. I'm the guy who is in the way of their mom and dad reconciling. So you could imagine how they treat me, right? And then, of course, if you have the mom, and the mom, my wife, obviously, I'm talking about my wife, they can do no wrong. It seems, they're the boys. Those are her little boys. She will always love them more than me. And that's real too. People talk all the time about how you should always put your husband first and all this stuff, and that might be true, but that's not real. That's not real. I mean, a woman is not going to put you before her flesh and blood. There's no way a woman is going to put you before her flesh and blood. And that will also chip away at a marriage, right? But so I got this, situation. Then you got like any other woman. My wife is not unique in this sense. All women are controlling, and I'm sure women have their own perspectives too. And ladies, you are welcome to comment in the comment section and give your opinion. And in a week or so, I'm going to be putting the phone number up top. I have a new phone number here. I haven't had a chance to put it into my little screen here. I got to program it, which only takes a second, but I just haven't done it. And you'll be able to call and give your opinions and give me some pushback, and I would love that. You can go ahead and drop a comment and say whatever you want, and you don't even have to be respectful. I'm used to that. And, you can give your 2 cents, and I'll be happy to address those things. But so I have this whole scenario, and it's crazy because it's a blended family. And, it doesn't on the surface, it doesn't work, because we have these different competing interests. We have things that she wants and for her offspring, and I have things that I want and for my offspring, and they don't align with each other. And so, you're going to imagine fighting about money, fighting about time with each other. You're going to be fighting about everything. Me and my wife fight about everything. There is nothing off the table when it comes to what we fight about. But it's all about how we deal with those things, because leaving is not an option for us. Leaving is not an option, and divorce is not an option. Finding another sexual partner outside of the marriage is not an option. So we have to find ways to work these things out, and we've been able to get this far only by the grace of God, and it's only by implementing our faith into our marriage, incorporating it into our marriage, and making it a real about that. A lot of times people get married and they'll say till death do you part and God and all this stuff. They'll take the vows before God without even realizing what they're doing. They'll go their whole marriage without ever considering God. And then they wonder why their marriage isn't working out. And it's not to say that every marriage that doesn't, I've only known, I'll be honest with you, I've only known a handful of people that have been married for more than, 20 years. Like they have kids together and then they're still old and still married. I have not known too many people like that. Certainly not my own parents. But I've only known a few couples like that where they have kids and they're still married. They're older, like over 60. And then I even have to ask myself, okay, out of that small number, and I mean, it's like a handful of people. And I have to ask myself, how many of those, all right, so let's just say it's 5. Out of my whole lifetime, I've known like 5, maybe 6, at the most, encountered 10 10 couples out of the millions of people that I probably encountered in my lifetime. Still married, older, with kids. And out of those 10, such a small number, but even out of those 10, what percentage of those 10 actually had a good marriage? You know, where there was, and I guess I would define a good marriage as, you know, where they, for every 10 encounters they had, 7 of them were good. You know, for every 10 days, they had 7 days that were like filled with joy and love and compassion and, you know, romance and, you know, physical relations, you know, what did I call it earlier? You know, they're having sex, you know, all that kind of stuff. They're making love and all that. You know, they had 7 days out of those 10 where they were actually enjoyable. I'm not saying you had sex all those days, but, you know, that for the majority of those days, they were enjoyable out of those 10 days. Maybe one, maybe 2 couples. So that should tell you how hard marriage is. It's super hard. And I know a lot of married couples. I know a lot of young married couples. I even know we're gonna have a man on my show. I'm hoping Saturday afternoon. I'm gonna do a recording with a man who's been married for over 20 years. Has kids, and he's younger than me. I'm 45. I think he's about 41. And we'll have him on the show, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to give us about how he's made it that far in a marriage. He's also a believer, and so hopefully you guys will be able to check that out and enjoy that. So what's the point here, guys? The point here, guys, is that you got to have God in your life, in your marriage, if you want it to work, because the devil is attacking your marriage on a daily basis. When he tells you the grass is greener on the other side, it's a lie. Just remember, it's a lie. And I'm not telling you that, you know, you can't be mad at your wife or your husband, and you can't be like, F that guy for a few days, you know. But what you can't do is destroy your marriage and destroy your spiritual growth. You know, you can't break, you know, tear each other down. You can't be, you know, out there having sexual relations with other people, committing adultery, and, you know, you just can't do that. You can't abandon. You can't go out and just have a side piece. You can't do any of that stuff. You know, that's just self-destructive, and it's not in line with the principles of a believer. You know, if you got to take this seriously. You got to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, because God is to be feared. I know God is love, and, you know, I hear these messages with these different preachers all the time. Oh, God love, 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 love. You know, Jesus talked about hell more than he talked about love. I mean, love is his greatest commandment, to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and all your strength, and to love your neighbor. But he also tells us to be obedient and have obedience. And, you know, we got to take our marriages seriously. And they are tough. And, you know, that's why we got to get into prayer. We got to get into the Word of God. We got to get into this book and remind ourselves that we're not really here for ourselves. We're really here for God and for his purposes. If you're in a marriage, your duty is to sacrifice. The Bible says that we are to love our wives as Christ loved the church. And how did Christ love the church? He laid down his life. Jesus laid down his life for us. I'm not going to burn in hell for eternity because Jesus paid the price. He paid my debt. The wages of sin is death. And Jesus, he paid that price for me and for you. All right, guys. A little something to think about. If you guys ever have questions about, marriage or, anything at all, you can always call into the show. I will have the phone number up soon, maybe tomorrow. And I'm going to have a specific time of when people can call because I'm not going live. Not yet. I think I'm going to go live once I have 1,000 subscribers. Once I get the ball rolling here. Because right now we're trying to break double digits, guys. Double digits. We have 9. And we're trying to get to 10 subscribers. So if you watched the show and if you thought you got some kind of value in it, go in there and just subscribe. It's not that big of a deal. You just click, you're subscribed. You don't even have to watch my shows anymore. Just make sure you subscribe. Share, like, and subscribe, as they say. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Stay holy.